The metal walls of Nexus Station hummed with a quiet energy. Commander G1 stood in the observation deck, watching ships from 100 different worlds dock at the massive spaceport. Her reflection stared back at her from the reinforced glass. She looked calm, but inside her mind was racing. Something was very wrong in the galaxy, and today she would learn what it was. Behind her, Dr. Tejo adjusted his tablet for the third time. The exobiologist had been quiet during their journey from Earth, reading reports that made his face grow more worried with each page. Next to him, Yuna checked her sidearm out of habit. The security officer always prepared for trouble, even at diplomatic meetings. A chime sounded through the deck. The council meeting would begin in 10 minutes. G1 turned from the window and nodded to her team. They walked together through the curved corridors of the station, passing aliens of every shape and size. Most ignored them, but a few stopped to stare at the humans with their strange forward-facing eyes. The council chamber was enormous. Hundreds of delegates filled the tiered seats that circled the central platform. G1 led her team to Earth's assigned section, a small cluster of seats near the middle tier. As they sat down, the lights dimmed and a hologram appeared in the center of the room. Ambassador Krell stepped onto the platform. The Voran was tall and covered in dark scales that reflected the blue light of the hologram. His forearms moved as he spoke, each gesture sharp and precise. The translation device in G1's ear converted his clicking speech into clear words. "Something is killing us." The ambassador's voice was cold and direct. "On 3 mining colonies in the Outer Rim, we have lost entire security teams. Not injured, not captured, dead. All of them." A murmur ran through the chamber. G1 leaned forward, studying the hologram as it changed to show a map of the affected systems. Red marks indicated where attacks had occurred. They formed a pattern, moving steadily toward more populated areas. Delegate Sira stood next. The Sethan was smaller than Krell, with smooth green skin and large black eyes. Where Krell had spoken with anger, Sira's voice carried fear. Her people had sent their best hunters to track the creature. None had returned. The hologram shifted again. This time it showed recordings from security cameras. G1 watched carefully as the images played. A mining facility at night, workers moving between buildings. Then darkness. The cameras recorded sound but no image. Screams filled the chamber. When the lights came back on, only bodies remained. Tejo tapped his tablet, recording the data. Yuna sat perfectly still, her eyes tracking every detail in the hologram. G1 kept her face neutral, even as her mind catalogued what she was seeing. This was no random animal. This was a predator that understood technology, that knew how to disable cameras and choose its moments. More delegates spoke. Each one told the same story with different details. A creature that moved faster than sensors could track, something that killed with precision and vanished without a trace. The Draxians had lost 100 soldiers. The Miloth sent their war machines, which were found torn apart. The Quellan deployed their psychic warriors, who reported feeling nothing before they died. Hours passed as the council discussed theories and strategies. Some believed it was a weapon created by an enemy government. Others thought it might be an undiscovered species, something from the dark spaces between stars. A few suggested it could be multiple creatures working together. Every idea was examined and found lacking. Finally, Ambassador Krell turned his attention to the human delegation. Earth was new to the council, having joined only 2 years before. Most species still knew little about humans or their homeworld. Commander G1, Krell's voice cut through the chamber noise. "Your people have remained silent during these discussions. Does Earth have nothing to offer?" G1 stood slowly. All eyes in the chamber turned to her. She took a breath and stepped toward the platform, her team following close behind. When she reached the center, she looked up at the hundreds of aliens watching her. "We have been listening," she said. Her voice was steady and clear. "And we have been learning. This creature you describe is indeed a predator, a very good one, obviously." Krell's scales rippled with irritation. "That is why we are here. We need to stop it before it reaches the core worlds. Your planet has predators, does it not? Perhaps Earth's apex predator could help us understand what we face." The chamber fell silent. G1 glanced at Tejo, who nodded slightly. She looked at Yuna, who met her gaze with the hint of a smile. Then G1 turned back to Krell and the council. "Earth does have an apex predator," she said quietly. one that evolved over millions of years to hunt the most dangerous prey, one that never gives up, never stops, and never loses its target once the chase begins. Delegate Sira leaned forward in her seat. Then you will send this creature to help us? You will unleash it on the colonies to hunt this killer? Jiwan's expression didn't change, but something flickered in her eyes. Something ancient and patient. She raised one hand and pointed at herself, then at Taeho, then at Yuna. Us, she said simply. We are Earth's apex predator. For a moment, no one moved. Then the chamber erupted in confusion. Delegates shouted in a dozen languages. Some laughed. Others looked insulted. Ambassador Krell's scales darkened to almost black. This is no time for jokes, human. Krell's voice boomed across the platform. We are discussing the survival of entire colonies. I am not joking. Jiwan's voice cut through the noise like a blade. Every being in the chamber heard her clearly. The humans are the apex predator of Earth. We hunted everything on our world until there was nothing left that could challenge us. Then we hunted each other until we learned to work together. And now we are here among the stars, and you want to know if we can help you hunt a killer. She paused, letting her words sink in. The chamber had gone quiet again. When she spoke next, her voice was soft but somehow more frightening because of it. The answer is yes. We can help you. But first you need to understand what that means. You need to understand how humans hunt. Taeho stepped forward with his tablet. Yuna moved to stand beside Jiwan, her posture relaxed but ready. And in the Great Council Chamber of Nexus Station, 3 humans prepared to teach the galaxy a lesson it would never forget. Dr. Taeho's fingers moved across his tablet, and the hologram in the center of the chamber changed. The image of destroyed colonies faded, replaced by something that made several delegates shift uncomfortably in their seats. It was Earth. The planet rotated slowly, blue and green and beautiful. This is where we come from, Taeho said. His voice was calm, like a teacher explaining a simple lesson. To understand humans, you must understand this world. It is not like your worlds. Earth is harsh. It tests everything that lives on it. The hologram zoomed in, showing vast plains of golden grass. Animals ran across the landscape, some with 4 legs, others with more. Then the view shifted to show something else. A human, ancient and primitive, running after an animal much larger than itself. Our ancestors were not the strongest creatures on Earth, Taeho continued. They were not the fastest. Their teeth were small. Their claws were almost useless. They could not fly or breathe underwater. By all measures, they should have been prey, not predators. Ambassador Krell made a sound of impatience. Then how did you become apex predators? Luck, persistence. G1's single word echoed through the chamber. We became apex predators through persistence. The hologram showed the ancient human still running. The animal it chased had stopped to rest, panting heavily. The human kept coming, slower than the animal, but never stopping. The animal ran again. The human followed. This pattern repeated over and over until finally the animal collapsed from exhaustion. The human approached and finished the hunt. This is called persistence hunting, Taeho explained. Most predators on Earth chase their prey for a short time. If they do not catch it quickly, they give up. They must because their bodies overheat, but humans are different. He pulled up another image, this one showing a human body with various systems highlighted in different colors. Watch carefully. See these? He pointed to millions of tiny dots covering the skin. These are sweat glands. Humans have more of them than almost any creature on Earth. When we run, we sweat. The sweat evaporates and cools our body. We can run for hours without overheating. Delegate Sira stared at the image. Hours? Impossible. No creature can run for hours. Humans can. Yuna spoke for the first time since entering the chamber. Her voice carried a quiet confidence. I can run for 8 hours without stopping. Some humans can run for more than 24 hours. We have competitions where we run for days. The chamber erupted in disbelief again. Taeho waited for the noise to die down before continuing. It is not just the sweating. Look at how we stand. Humans walk on 2 legs, not 4. This makes us slower in a sprint, yes, but it makes us incredibly efficient over long distances. We can travel farther using less energy than creatures with 4 legs, and our breathing. He highlighted the respiratory system. Most creatures must match their breathing to their stride. When they run fast, they cannot breathe well. But humans separated these systems millions of years ago. We can breathe however we need to. Regardless of how fast we are moving, we can pace ourselves perfectly. G1 stepped forward again. Our ancestors would choose an animal. Any animal, it did not matter how big or fast. Then they would start running after it. The animal would sprint away, confident it had escaped. But hours later, the humans would still be there, following the tracks. The animal would run again. The humans would follow again. This continued until the animal's body gave out. It would collapse, unable to run anymore, unable even to fight. And the humans would finally make their kill. A delegate from the Thraxian Union stood up. His purple skin had gone pale. This is horror. You are describing a method of torture. No, Jiwan said simply. We are describing survival. This is how we fed our families. This is how we became the dominant species on our planet. Creel's forearms crossed over his chest. This is all very interesting, human. But your ancient hunting methods do not help us now. We face a creature with advanced intelligence and modern technology. Your ability to run for long periods means nothing against such a threat, does it not? Yuna's question hung in the air. You said your best warriors failed. Your war machines failed. Your psychic soldiers failed. All of them tried to fight this creature with strength and speed and power. None of them tried patience. Tejo brought up new data on his tablet. Look at the pattern of attacks. The creature strikes and then disappears. It stays hidden for days, sometimes weeks. Then it strikes again. It is fast and strong, yes. But it is also hiding. It is running away, of course it runs. Sierra's voice was sharp. It is intelligent. It knows when to retreat, and that is its weakness, Jiwan said. The creature thinks like most predators. It thinks the hunt ends when it escapes, but humans do not think that way. For us, the hunt never ends. We will follow our prey to the edge of the world if necessary. We will track it through water and over mountains. We will pursue it through day and night without rest. And eventually, it will make a mistake. It will get tired. And when it does, we will be there. The chamber was quiet now. The delegates were beginning to understand something that made them deeply uncomfortable. They were learning that humans did not hunt like other species. Humans hunted like nothing else in the galaxy. I volunteer to track this creature, Yuna said. Give me the location of the last attack. I will find it. Krell stared at her. You, one human? Our security forces number in the hundreds. Our equipment is worth millions of credits. You have only basic gear. This is madness, is it? Jiwan's eyes swept across the council. You have tried everything else. You have sent your strongest soldiers and your most advanced technology. Nothing has worked. Perhaps it is time to try something different. Perhaps it is time to try patience. Delegate Sierra looked at her fellow council members. If this human fails, we lose nothing we have not already lost. If she succeeds, we learn something valuable. When she succeeds, Tejo corrected quietly. When, not if. The council debated for another hour. Some delegates argued against sending a single human to face a threat that had killed hundreds. Others pointed out that they had no better options. Finally, they took a vote. The decision was close, but it passed. Yuna would go to Colony Theta 9, the site of the most recent attack. She would track the creature, and the entire galaxy would watch to see if humans truly were the apex predators they claimed to be. As the council session ended, and delegates filed out of the chamber, Jiwan stood alone on the platform. She looked up at the massive dome above, where stars shone through the transparent sections. Somewhere out there a predator was hiding. It thought it was safe. It thought it had won. It did not know about humans yet. It did not know that the hunt was about to begin. And most importantly, it did not know that once a human started hunting, they never stopped. Not until their prey was caught. Not until the chase was finished, never. The transport ship dropped Yuna at the edge of Colony Theta 9 just after dawn. She stepped onto the red soil wearing simple gear, a light pack on her back, a water recycler on her hip, and a tracking device on her wrist. No heavy armor, no powerful weapons. Just the basics. The colony was a mess. Buildings stood empty with doors hanging open. Debris scattered across the main plaza. Bloodstains marked the ground in several places, already fading under the twin suns. Yuna walked through the abandoned streets, her steps quiet and measured. She was not here to see the colony. She was here to find where the creature had gone. On Nexus Station, Commander Jiwan and Dr. Tejo watched through satellite feeds. The entire council had access to the same feeds. Hundreds of delegates across dozens of species were watching one human walk alone through a dead colony. She is taking her time, Ambassador Krell observed. His tone suggested this was a waste of time. She is reading the scene, Jiwan replied, looking for patterns. Understanding what happened here. Yuna found the supply depot where the creature had struck last. The metal door was torn from its hinges. Inside, shelves were knocked over and boxes scattered everywhere. She knelt and examined the floor carefully. There in the dust, she found what she was looking for. A print. Not a footprint exactly, but a mark where something had pressed down with great weight. The edges were odd, not matching any known species pattern. She stood and followed the trail out of the depot. The marks led toward the edge of the colony, then disappeared into the rocky terrain beyond. Yuna checked her water supply, adjusted her pack, and started running. Not a sprint. A steady, even pace that she could maintain for hours. The satellite view showed her moving across the landscape like a machine. Her pace never varied. She did not stop to rest. When she reached rocky areas where tracks disappeared, she would slow down and search in widening circles until she found the trail again. Then she would resume her steady run. "What is she doing?" Delegate Sierra asked. "The terrain is impossible. She should use a vehicle." "Vehicles make noise," Tejo explained. "They have engines that can be heard from far away. Yuna needs to get close to the creature. That means moving quietly. That means using her own feet." Hours passed. The twin suns climbed higher in the sky, turning the landscape into an oven. The temperature read 45 degrees on the feeds. Many delegates commented that such heat would kill most species within an hour. Yuna kept running. Sweat soaked her clothes, but her pace did not change. The trail led up a rocky hill. Yuna climbed without slowing, her hands finding holds in the stone. At the top, she paused for the first time. Not to rest, but to drink from her water recycler and study the landscape ahead. She could see where the creature had gone, down into a valley filled with strange purple plants. She descended into the valley. The plants were tall, taller than she was, with thorns that could cut through standard uniforms. Yuna moved between them carefully, following signs that something large had passed this way recently. Broken stems, crushed leaves, small traces of a dark substance on the thorns. "That is blood," Krell said, leaning closer to his viewing screen. "The creature is injured, or it cut itself on the thorns while moving fast," Jiwan suggested. "Either way, it is good news. An injured creature tires faster." Night fell. The temperature dropped rapidly, going from 45 degrees to near freezing in less than an hour. Yuna pulled a light thermal layer from her pack and continued. The feed switched to infrared, showing her as a warm shape moving through the cold darkness. She had been running for 16 hours without stopping. "This is insane," a Thraxian delegate muttered. "She will collapse. No being can maintain this pace." "Humans can," Tejo said simply. "This is what we tried to explain. Yuna is not pushing herself to the limit. This is normal for her. She could keep this pace for days if needed." On the second day, the trail led to water. A wide river cut through the landscape, fast-moving and deep. The tracks showed the creature had entered the water. Most trackers would have lost the trail here. But Yuna stood on the bank and studied the far side. She knew the creature would have to exit eventually. She walked along the river for 3 hours, checking both sides. Finally, she found where the creature had emerged, nearly 2 kilometers downstream. The prints were deeper now, pressed harder into the mud. The creature was getting tired. It was making mistakes. Yuna started running again. The trail became easier to follow. The creature was no longer trying to hide its path. It was just moving, trying to put distance between itself and whatever it thought might be following. It did not know yet. It did not know that a human was already on its trail. It did not know that humans never lost their prey once they started tracking. Day 3 arrived. Yuna had been moving for 60 hours with only brief pauses to drink and eat small rations. The delegates watching could not believe what they were seeing. This went against everything they knew about biology. No creature should be able to function after so long without real rest. But humans were not like other creatures. Evolution had shaped them into something unique. Their bodies were built for endurance, for covering vast distances, for never giving up. Yuna was simply doing what her ancestors had done for millions of years. She was hunting. The trail led up a mountain. The creature had climbed a sheer cliff face, perhaps hoping this would stop any pursuit. Yuna looked up at the rock wall, found the same holds the creature had used, and started climbing. Her movements were efficient, wasting no energy. She climbed for 6 hours straight, reaching the top as the suns began to set again. From the mountain peak, she could see far across the landscape. Her tracking device showed she had covered over 200 kilometers since landing, most of that on foot. all of it following a creature that was trying desperately to escape. The viewing room on Nexus Station had grown crowded. Word had spread through the station about what was happening. Delegates from species that were not even part of the council had come to watch. They stood in silence, staring at the feeds showing one human pursuing a deadly predator across an entire planet. "Why does she not give up?" someone whispered. "The creature could be anywhere by now." "Because humans do not give up," G1 answered. She kept her eyes on the screen, watching Yuna descend the far side of the mountain. "That is what you need to understand. When a human decides to hunt something, the outcome is inevitable. It might take hours. It might take days. It might take weeks. But eventually the human will catch their prey. Always." Day 4 began. The creature's trail showed signs of panic now. It was doubling back, circling, trying to confuse its pursuer. But Yuna saw through every trick. She had been trained in tracking since childhood. More than that, she had instincts inherited from a million years of human hunters. She knew how prey thought when it was getting desperate. The trail led into a canyon. Narrow walls rose on either side, cutting out most of the sunlight. Yuna slowed her pace for the first time, moving more carefully. Canyons were good places for ambushes. The creature might be cornered. Cornered prey was dangerous prey. She reached a wider section of the canyon and stopped. The trail ended here, but the creature was not visible. Yuna turned slowly, studying the walls, the shadows, the ground. Her hand moved to the weapon at her side. Not to draw it yet, just to be ready. On Nexus Station, every being watching held their breath. This was the moment. After 4 days of pursuit, hunter and prey were finally about to meet. The shadow moved before Yuna saw it. Training and instinct made her dive to the side as something massive struck where she had been standing. Rock exploded, sending fragments flying through the air. She rolled and came up in a crouch, her weapon finally drawn. The creature emerged from a crack in the canyon wall. It was larger than Yuna had expected, nearly 3 meters tall when it stood upright. Its body was covered in what looked like shifting shadows, making it hard to see its exact shape. 2 eyes glowed pale yellow in the darkness. They fixed on her with pure hatred. "A shade walker," Tejo breathed from his position on Nexus Station. "I thought they were extinct." "What is a shade walker?" Krill demanded, not taking his eyes off the screen. "Apex predator from the rim worlds," Tejo explained quickly. "Extinct for 10,000 years or so, we thought. They can bend light around themselves, making them nearly invisible. Incredibly fast and strong. Perfect ambush hunters. Then that human is dead," Krill said flatly. "Nothing survives a Shadewalker attack," Jiwan said. "Nothing." She just watched. In the canyon, the Shadewalker circled Yuna. It was panting heavily, its shadowy form flickering. 4 days of running had taken their toll on it. The creature was exhausted, pushed far beyond what its biology was meant to handle. But exhausted or not, it was still deadly. Yuna turned slowly, keeping the creature in sight. She was tired too. Her muscles ached from days of constant movement, but her mind was clear. This was what she had been trained for. This was what every human hunter had been doing since the beginning of their species. Stand between yourself and prey. Finish the hunt. The Shadewalker attacked again, moving with speed that seemed impossible for something so large. Yuna did not try to match its speed. Instead, she read its movement, saw where it would be, and moved to where it would not. The creature's claws raked through empty air. She fired her weapon. The energy bolt caught the creature in the shoulder. It howled, a sound that echoed through the canyon like thunder, but the wound only made it angrier. It spun and charged directly at her. This time Yuna did not dodge. She braced herself and met the charge head-on. The collision should have killed her. The Shadewalker weighed 3 times what she did and was moving with tremendous force. But Yuna had positioned herself perfectly. She used the creature's own momentum, redirecting rather than stopping it. The Shadewalker slammed into the canyon wall behind her. The delegates watching gasped. They had never seen anything like this. A being so much smaller than its opponent, using strategy and precision instead of raw strength. The Shadewalker recovered quickly, but it was breathing even harder now. Its shadowy form was flickering badly. Yuna could see its true shape underneath, all sharp angles and deadly edges. She fired again, this time hitting its leg. The creature stumbled. It tried to disappear, bending light around itself to become invisible. But Yuna had been tracking this creature for 4 days. She knew how it moved, how it thought. When it vanished, she did not panic. She simply waited watching for the small signs that gave away its position. A displaced shadow, a strange shimmer in the air. There. She fired at what looked like empty space. The bolt connected and the Shadewalker became visible again, hissing in pain and fury. It was learning that its usual tricks did not work against this human. Nothing it tried worked. The human just kept coming, kept adapting, kept fighting. The fight continued for 20 minutes. To the watching delegates, it felt like hours. The Shadewalker used every trick it knew. It climbed the canyon walls and attacked from above. It created false trails with its shadow-bending ability. It feinted one direction and struck from another. Each time Yuna countered. She was not faster than the creature. She was not stronger. But she was smarter, and she never made the same mistake twice. Finally, the Shadewalker's exhaustion became too much. It tried to charge one more time, but its legs gave out. It collapsed in the dirt, breathing in great gasping heaves. Its shadow form flickered and died, revealing the creature beneath. It looked almost fragile without its camouflage. Just another animal pushed too far. Yuna approached carefully, her weapon still raised. The creature watched her with those yellow eyes filled now with something that looked like understanding. It knew what she was. It knew what humans were. Pursuit predators. Creatures that never stopped, never gave up, never let their prey rest. The Shadewalker had been the apex predator of its world once. Nothing could catch it, nothing could fight it. For 10,000 years its species had ruled. Then they went extinct, and this one survivor had found its way to the galaxy beyond. It had terrorized colonies, killed hundreds, proven itself the ultimate hunter, until it met a human. Until it learned that there was something in the galaxy more terrifying than shadow and claw. Something patient. Something that hunted not with power but with persistence. Something that had been shaped by millions of years of evolution into the perfect pursuit predator. Yuna fired one last time. The Shadewalker died instantly without pain. The hunt was over. The viewing room on Nexus Station was absolutely silent. Hundreds of delegates from dozens of species stood frozen, staring at the screen. They had just watched a human do the impossible. Not through advanced technology. Not through superior weaponry. Through simple, patient, relentless hunting. Ambassador Krell found his voice first. "By the void," he whispered. "You were serious. Humans really are apex predators, we tried to tell you," Jiwan said quietly. She felt no triumph, only a deep tiredness. Yuna had proven what needed to be proven. But now the galaxy knew. Now they understood what humans were capable of. Delegate Sira turned away from the screen. Her hands were shaking. "That creature killed 100 of our best warriors. 100. And one human brought it down." "Not brought it down," Tejo corrected. "Hunted it. There is a difference. Your warriors tried to fight it. Yuna hunted it. She used the one advantage humans have that no other species can match. Persistence." On the planet's surface, Yuna sat down for the first time in 96 hours. Her body finally acknowledged how tired it was. She drank from her water recycler and ate a ration bar, chewing slowly. The canyon was quiet now. Peaceful even. The hunt was done. She activated her comm device. "This is Yuna, target neutralized. Requesting pickup." The response came immediately, though the voice sounded shaken. "Copy that. Transport en route. Arrival in 3 hours, 3 hours." Yuna smiled slightly. After 4 days of running, 3 hours seemed like nothing. She leaned back against the canyon wall and closed her eyes. The hard part was over. Now she just had to explain to the galaxy what they had witnessed. In the viewing room, delegates began to leave. They needed time to process what they had seen. Some looked thoughtful. Others looked disturbed. All of them looked at humanity differently now. They had asked what Earth's apex predator was. The humans had told them, and then they had proven it in the most undeniable way possible. Jiwan remained standing by the screen. She watched the feed showing Yuna resting in the canyon. Her security officer had done well. Better than well. She had shown the galaxy something they needed to see, something they needed to understand. Humans were not the strongest species. They were not the fastest or the most advanced. But when they decided to hunt something, nothing in the universe could stop them. Nothing. Yuna returned to Nexus Station 3 days later. The transport had taken her back to Colony Theta 9, where she spent time documenting the hunt and collecting samples from the Shadewalker's remains. Then she had flown back to the massive space station, carrying with her proof of what she had accomplished. The docking bay was more crowded than usual. Word of the successful hunt had spread through every corner of the station. When Yuna walked down the transport ramp, hundreds of beings watched in silence. Some had come out of curiosity. Others had come to see the human who had done the impossible. A few had come because they needed to see for themselves that she was real. Commander Jiwan and Dr. Taeho waited at the bottom of the ramp. Jiwan allowed herself a small smile when she saw Yuna. The security officer looked tired but unharmed. She carried a container with the remains of the Shadewalker. "Welcome back," Jiwan said simply. "Well done, thank you, Commander." Yuna handed the container to Taeho. "Everything you need for analysis is in there." The creature was exactly what the records described. A Shadewalker. I verified it before the kill. "The Council has called for an emergency session," Taeho said quietly. "They want to hear your report directly. They want to understand how you did it." Yuna nodded. She had expected this. Let us not keep them waiting. The council chamber was even more packed than during the first meeting. Every seat was filled. Delegates stood in the aisles and crowded near the walls. The humans walked to the center platform, and this time, no one questioned their right to be there. Ambassador Krell spoke first. "Security Officer Yuna, you have accomplished what our finest warriors could not. The Council wishes to know exactly how you tracked and eliminated this threat." Yuna stood at attention. Her voice was clear and steady as she described the hunt. She explained how she had found the trail at Colony Theta 9, how she had followed it for 4 days across impossible terrain, how she had never lost the tracks even when the creature tried every method to shake pursuit, how she had finally cornered it in the canyon. She did not make it sound heroic. She described it the way one might describe a routine task: find the trail, follow the trail, corner the prey, end the hunt. Simple, methodical, patient. When she finished, the chamber was quiet for a long moment. Then Delegate Sira spoke. "You ran for 4 days without meaningful rest. You covered over 200 kilometers on foot. You tracked a creature that can bend light and make itself invisible. And you speak of this as if it were nothing remarkable." "For a human, it is not remarkable," Yuna replied honestly. "This is what we do. This is what we have always done. We are not the fastest or the strongest, but we are patient. We can run forever if we need to, and we never give up on our prey." Dr. Taeho stepped forward with his tablet. "The data supports what Yuna is saying. I analyzed her vital signs throughout the hunt. At no point was she in serious danger of exhaustion. Her body was operating well within normal human parameters for sustained activity." He projected graphs and charts into the hologram display. "See here, her heart rate stayed steady. Her core temperature remained stable thanks to her sweat glands. Her energy expenditure was high but sustainable. What looked impossible to you was simply a human doing what humans evolved to do." A Thraxian delegate raised his hand. "This ability of yours, this persistence hunting, could any human do this? Or only specially trained soldiers?" "Most humans can do this with proper training," Taeho answered. "Some cultures on Earth still practice persistence hunting as a way of life. Others run marathons for recreation. Yuna is highly skilled, yes, but her abilities are not unique. They are simply well developed." Commander Jiwan moved to the center of the platform. She looked around at all the delegates watching her. "The Council asked us what Earth's apex predator was. We told you. You did not believe us. So we showed you. Now you must decide what this means. What it means is that we must reassess humanity's position in the galactic community." Ambassador Krell said slowly, "We invited you to join us as a minor species from an isolated world. We thought you were like us. We were wrong. We are like you," Jiwan said firmly. "We breathe, we eat, we feel joy and sadness. We love our families. We are not monsters. We are simply very good at one specific thing: hunting. That does not make us dangerous to those who are not our prey. But what happens when you decide we are prey?" The question came from a small delegate near the back. "What happens if humans turn their hunting skills against other species?" The chamber went silent. Every being there had thought this same question. They had watched Yuna hunt down a creature that had killed hundreds. If humans could do that to the Shadewalker, what could they do to other species? G1 met the question head-on. "You are right to ask this. You are right to be cautious. Humans are dangerous. We have proven that. But let me tell you something else about humans, something just as important as our ability to hunt." She gestured to Taeho and Yuna. "We evolved as hunters, yes, but we also evolved as social creatures. We learned to work together. We learned to cooperate with others. even those who were once our enemies. We learned that survival was not just about being the best predator. It was about building communities, about helping each other, about choosing when to hunt and when to make peace. Tejo added his support. Human history is full of violence, yes, but it is also full of cooperation. We have built great civilizations not by hunting each other, but by working together. That same instinct that makes us persistent hunters also makes us loyal friends and dedicated allies. Yuna spoke for the final time. I hunted the Shadewalker because it was killing innocents, because it needed to be stopped. I would do the same for any species in this room, not because you are prey, but because you are people, and humans protect people. Delegate Sira stood. She walked down to the platform and stopped in front of the three humans. For a long moment she studied them, then she extended her hand in the human gesture of greeting. The Sethan Hive accepts Earth's offer of assistance. We would be honored to have human hunters protecting our frontier colonies. One by one, other delegates came forward. Some shook hands. Others offered their species traditional greetings. Many still looked uncertain, even afraid, but they recognized the value of having humans as allies rather than enemies. Ambassador Krell was the last to approach. His forearms crossed over his chest in a Voran salute. When I asked what your apex predator was, I expected you to describe some large beast, some creature with fangs and claws. Instead, you pointed at yourselves. I thought it was arrogance. I was wrong. It was simple truth. He paused, then added quietly, I hope we never give you reason to hunt us. You will not, Jiwan promised. Humans choose their prey carefully. We do not hunt friends. The council session ended soon after. Formal agreements would take weeks to finalize, but the important decision had been made. Humans would help protect the frontier colonies. They would use their unique abilities to track down threats that other species could not handle. They would become the galaxy's hunters. Later, in their quarters, the three humans sat together. Yuna finally allowed herself to relax, her body acknowledging the 4 days of continuous movement. Tejo was already preparing reports on the Shadewalker, adding its data to humanity's growing knowledge of galactic species. Jiwan stood at the window, looking out at the stars. They had accomplished what they came to do. They had shown the galaxy what humans were, but she knew this was only the beginning. Word would spread. Other species would learn. Some would seek alliance. Others would fear. A few might even see humans as threats to be eliminated. What are you thinking? Yuna asked. That we have changed everything, Jiwan replied. The galaxy saw us as just another species. Now they know better. They know we are hunters. The question is whether they will remember that we are also human, that we can choose compassion as easily as we choose pursuit. They will remember, Tejo said with confidence, because we will show them, again and again. We will hunt their monsters and protect their people, and eventually, they will understand that humans are both the galaxy's greatest hunters and its most dedicated protectors. Yuna smiled. Then I suppose we have work to do. Monsters will not hunt themselves. Jiwan turned from the window, her expression determined. No, they will not. And when the galaxy calls, humans will answer. We will run forever if we must. We will track through any terrain. We will never give up, because that is what we do. That is what we have always done. We are the apex predators of Earth, and now we are the protectors of the galaxy. Outside the window, 1,000 ships moved through space, 1,000 species going about their lives, and among them, humanity had found its place, not as conquerors, not as victims, but as hunters who had learned that the greatest prey worth pursuing was not survival, but peace.